All right, welcome back to the Planet Paintball podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Last weekend, well, it is the last weekend if you're hearing this, so you need to get out to the field on Sunday and say hi to John and the boys. Anyways, I got Steven and Virgil with me from Blast Camp. How are you guys doing tonight?
Great, man. Happy to be here.
Honestly, it's been fantastic year. Looking forward to having a little bit of conversation, talking about our history and everything, moving forward into next year as well. Fantastic to be on. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thank you guys for coming on. As Virgil and I were talking, not a lot of field owners get to come and do these things, so it's always exciting. I like having the field owners on. I've had a couple field ownerships from someone who worked at a field and managed a field for a long time. Like that's an important part of the game that's not talked about. So it's always fun when I can have a field owner on, much less someone who owns and operates a premier field in the U.S.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I always love, absolutely. I'm excited to talk paintball. I love talking paintball and paintball business and the team and everything. I get all excited about that stuff. So looking forward to diving in a little.
Well, why don't we start with just how you guys found the game, and we'll slowly creep up to more modern times. Virgil, you want to go first, and then Steven?
Sure.
Go
Sure,
ahead.
man. I'll go first. So I'm like a corporate guy. I came to paintball kind of through a business portion of the game rather than being a player, loving that, and then getting into paintball. I got into it because I was looking to buy my own business, and my brother had managed Blast Camp for like 4 or 5 years. He was like 16 years old, and he's managing Blast Camp, and he's like, man, these guys, like, they're in their 70s. They don't ever come around a guy anymore. He's saying the old owners. He's like, you should talk to them. Maybe they're interested in selling Blast Camp. And I'm like, yeah, let me check that out, So I call them, and 5, 6 months later, we negotiated things through. And next thing you know, I own the field. And then Jackson was like 9 years old at the time. So he kind of, got into it immediately, played essentially every weekend since. And, the fact that I've been able to kind of go through this journey with my kid and my family, my wife's very involved too. So it's been a really cool business move, but it's also been a great time for the family and so many memories and friends and different people that I've met along the way. So it's been a great 16 years so far.
Steven?
And I can kind of jump in there a little bit. So my path to paintball is a little bit different. Obviously, growing up, I was born and raised on a horse farm in St. Charles, Illinois. It's about 40 miles west of Chicago. And growing up, we didn't really have time for hobbies. I mean, we did get to play a little bit around the farm. We just got to grab some paintball guns from Walmart and kind of run around shooting each other in the back 5 acres we had, and it was always a great time. But I was always kind of looking at the competitive side of it, when I was going through high school, which was the late 2000, like 5 to 2010. That was also kind of like, everyone talks about the glory days of paintball when it was great. And everyone was talking about how amazing the sport was back then. But, I never really got to participate in that. And I really didn't get into really the competitive side of paintball and then kind of get more involved in the tournament scene until after I graduated college. And I got a lot more of that, that liquid income that, people with their first job right out of college have. They're able to do a little bit more of the competition side. I kind of dabbled in trying to join a college team when I was at Northern Illinois University. And finally, eventually just took a chance, found a D4 squad, joined it, and I decided to, played a couple of locals. Then I found out that the nationals were a thing. The NXL was a thing. This was 2016. I was playing for a team called Project Mayhem at that point, and they had a national line that was playing D3. I was D4 local at that point, and I went to the NXL Great Lakes Open, which was in Cleveland. Got to kind of see what the National Paintball League was all about, and I just sat there going, no, this is for me. Like, this is where I want to be. Locals have a place in my heart. Playing 5-man's where it's at. It was my first experience kind of seeing X-Ball, and I was like, you know what? No, this is where this sport is just an incredible thing to watch. I just said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for it. 2017, ended up making it onto a D4 national roster with Project Mayhem. Ended up winning Chicago and World Cup that year and winning the series title. So it was, one of those things where I went from pretty much unranked to winning a D4 series in 2 years. And that was done pretty much by, and Virgil mentioned the big thing about playing paintball. His son Jackson lives paintball. He's at the field pretty much every single day. That's how you get good really quickly, is you live, breathe, just are talking about paintball, and you want to be there. And we were playing pretty much 3 times a week. And that's really what got me into the sport. And then, I've kind of doing competitive paintball now for 10 years. Virgil and I think we met actually the season after that in 2018. Jackson was supposed to play Vegas with us before he blew out his knee. And then he had to end up
Was
going through a bunch of surgeries on that. Yeah.
was that the Hooligans?
No,
Or was
no,
that a
that was
different?
it was Project Mayhem. But then Project Mayhem got into some legal trouble. Not leave it at that, but there was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of entries and stuff not being paid to the league, and we actually had Tom Cole call us at one point and say, you guys can't sign up. And we're like, what do you mean? We paid all this money to the manager. What happened? And we found out that the manager actually wasn't paying the league. So that Tom was actually really cool about it, kind of wiped it all away and said, no, we can let you guys play. And that's when it was Midwest Rain in 2018. We tried to do it for one event. Jackson was going to play with us. I think he ended up getting hurt. That all kind of then fizzled out. And I went back to kind of playing locals after that. And then 2020, Virgil and I got back together. And I said, Virgil, you and I, long relationship. We'd known each other for a while. I said, I want to kind of make a divisional program underneath your top line. And that's what we ended up doing is we made quote unquote Blast Camp D3 at that point. And then I played under Virgil for a couple of seasons after that. Until that D3 line fizzled out. A lot of people just kind of decided to go their own way after taking second place in Chicago, which was a wild story. We take second place and everyone decides they're burned out and they don't want to go play World Cup, which
That's
that
nuts.
was like a
Retiring.
knife and that happened. I'm like, we go from taking second place to literally, yeah, we're all sitting at home watching World Cup. And luckily we got to cheer on the semi-pro boys during that COVID season. It was actually, it was 2021. Ended up kind of doing my own thing after a while, and then I came back to Blast Camp, and I think it was 2024, and that's when I created BC Riot. And then I've been with Virgil ever since. And like I said, it's the one thing I recommend to a lot of people as they're building teams and they're kind of trying to work their way up. It's number one, be patient. Don't jump up through the ranks if you don't have to, right? If you're D4, play D4, right? Rank up, win tournaments, get to D3, play D3, rank up, win. I've won a D4 series title, I've won a D3 series title. Now we're playing D2. I don't tell my guys to take that jump up until I think they're ready, and you're not going to be ready until you're consistently winning on the division you're in. I think these people that jump from D4 to semi-pro I don't understand why you're doing that. I feel like you're just throwing away money.
It's a good way to burn some money.
It's a good way to burn some money, right? Virgil has always been very supportive, and I said that's the one thing I would always recommend to people is find a person like Virgil who is incredibly supportive of the regional paintball. He's created his own series, the Mid-American Expo League, an incredible series. Honestly, he's done so much for Midwest paintball that a lot of the teams that are coming out of the Chicagoland area wouldn't be a thing if it weren't for guys like Virgil. So
Well,
that's
thank
what you really
you.
need to do. Go ahead. Yeah,
Well,
sorry.
thank you, but I'm going to interject and say, as a field owner, and as for anybody that's looking to create a paintball community, you got to find guys like Steven, guys that are not only players, but also have a business acumen. They can actually talk. They can run a meeting. They don't mind managing the thing. They know how to deal with players. And, that stuff is so important. Those guys are like gold around our paintball community anyway. There aren't a ton of coaches. There aren't a ton of guys that are like actually able to and willing to kind of manage and take all that responsibility on, the guy booking the hotel or, booking the Airbnb and making sure the practices are square and paying the field and all that stuff. So a guy like him or a guy like that is invaluable. So thank
And I
you.
would agree with that, Virgil, and I appreciate that. And like I said, this is where these good partnerships are so key, right?
Uh-huh.
And I always joke that paintball is a small world. And when you start getting into these regional areas like the Midwest, it is an even smaller world. And Virgil's 100% right on that, is that your player base is small. And then the people that actually want to step up into a leadership role and lead it, that's an even smaller pool, right? And then finding a group of guys who are all bought into the same idea and the ideology of, hey, we're here to win. I'm not just here to play with my friends, right? Like I want to take that next step. That's even harder to find sometimes. So sometimes it's like catching lightning in a bottle. And when you do, you got to take advantage of it and you got to keep building it. And that's one of the things that Virgil and I have really kind of come together and said, like, listen, we're not in this for the short term, right? Like you can build these all-star teams. They never work. Look at AC Diesel, right? We're talking about building these all-star teams. It doesn't work, right? But building a foundation from the ground up working on the divisionals, building the local leagues to develop that talent, to get people to play paintball more, to bring in these outside pros to hold clinics like Virgil does all the time, right? Like you need to focus on the grassroots of building your region up in that talent and then focus on that region talent as well, not just try to go get guys from, hey, I'm going to pull a guy from Canada to come play. Or I'm going to go play guys from the West Coast, right? You want to focus on the guys who can be here and consistently practice. And I think that's just such a huge thing that gets lost in paintball, right? So many people get focused on, I want to win quick, right? I want to do it as quick as possible, build an all-star squad. Let's go out and do it. Or I just want to play paintball with my friends, right? That's not the way to consistently build a winning program.
Yeah. Well, and
Great.
what's interesting is like back in 1999, early 2000s, all the teams were very localized, right? There were a couple, all-star teams out there, but the majority, it was like two, and then maybe you might have one or two guys on a team that traveled. And then we got into this arms race, if you will, where players are getting paid. Not saying they shouldn't by any means, like it's everyone's dream, right?
Right.
But these teams got so dispersed. And I think really it's you guys at Blast Camp and PB Fit that kind of flipped the script on everyone and said these keeping it local and keeping it where you can play together and be a community is the new future here. I think Uprising's done a good job of it too, especially in recent years. So they've really kind of stepped it up.
I really like what the
Virgil,
Sea Dogs are doing too, right? Sorry,
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
Sea
Sorry, I
Dogs.
didn't
I
mean to
didn't
cut you
mean
off there.
not to to
Sea,
mention them.
Yeah.
All Canadian based guys, right? Up in that area.
hmm And there's some hybrid versions of that, like even Damage is, got their core all there together in Florida, and
Yeah.
then they fly in a couple guys. And Aftermath, obviously X Factor's got a little bit of core all together. So there definitely are some hybrid ones, but you got to play together. You got to do that.
you got to be able to get 5 guys to the field pretty consistently, right?
Mhm.
Because if you don't, I think it kind of shows. You look a little disjointed. And when you see guys, I mean, like PB Fit's a great example. Like that's like the golden standard right now when you talk about a pro team that's consistently playing together. Virgil pointed out to me, he's like, these guys are already playing a tournament locally on the new layout with the new bunkers. They're already there. There is no off season for these guys. They're already going at it, right? And it shows on the field, right? That's a team that went from semi-pro to winning World Cup in
Mhm.
their first in their first year of pro, right? Like this is I think that's where I'm encouraged because I'm seeing a little bit more of that localness coming back
Yeah.
to that scene.
Virgil, I was just talking with John at Southwest. He actually came out here to play a 10-man with us, but we were in the car driving back from Greensboro and we were talking about fields and how excited he was he's really developed a good tournament scene out there in the middle of nowhere, Colorado,
Yeah.
which is very different from a lot of field owners I've known in the past who kind of shun the tournament guys. So could you kind of speak
Uh-huh.
on how the recreational and tournament side can live together and how to do it successfully
Absolutely.
like you have?
Absolutely. That's a great question because that is kind of a big thing in like a lot of the field owners forums and field owners that I talk to and stuff. They really look down on the tournament players, thinking they're divas and they want discounts and they want all this stuff. And from a business standpoint, and Fit has done a great job, I think, of kind of proving to people that you can have a very successful business and have it just be tournament ball. But the fact that like instead of it being a birthday party or whatever, it's a whole team that's going to come out and buy 15 or 20 cases in a day. You got this little area of your park that's going to bring in all that money. I could put one employee there, you know what I mean? I don't have to have all these reps for open play and I have to mow 23 acres and deal with, props and all the other things for the scenario game. I mean, believe me, I love the scenario things and birthday parties and all that stuff. It's kind of the foundation of all of this whole paintball experience almost,
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, you can have a really good business model and have that be tournament paintball. And so I wish that more field owners would embrace that and find a way to kind of be creative, create competition, create ways for people to find teams together, foster guys like Steven who are willing to put the team together and, make the calls and set up their practices. You gotta foster that atmosphere and obviously treat people good. I've always believed no matter what area of the business it is, you have to understand, like what the needs of the customer are. An airsoft guy is completely different than a tournament paintball guy. A mag fed guy likes a certain specific thing. He wants a specific type of paintball. He wants, these more intense games, a little smaller. He wants to be able to shoot up close, stuff like that. Open play is a little different animal. You have a 10-foot engagement rule, no full auto, just all these little things that you might think about from a little kid's birthday party all the way up to like a mag fed or a scenario game. And then of course the tournament player. So recognize what their needs are and try to accommodate that. I mean, it's business 101. But the bottom line, I think where you're going with the question is that, yeah, you definitely can have a successful business and make money off of tournament guys.
And I'll add one thing onto that as well. And it's also a lot of these tournament guys that you're talking to, they just want a home, right? Like it's a lot of these guys are proud to call a field like Blast Camp their home, right? Like, hey, this is my home, right? Like I love to put that name on my jersey, right? I like to have Blast Camp Paintball and Airsoft be on there. And because of that, they are willing, even at practice, to do above and beyond. The field's not blowing up. My players are out there blowing up bunkers. It was kind of funny. The prep for BC Riot before Tampa, it snowed, and there was a layer of snow covering the field. And not a single one of those guys went and said, "This isn't our job. Virgil, get your employees out there. Like, why didn't you have the field covered?" And I was like, "Well, grab shovels." And we all grabbed shovels and we shoveled off the field, right? Because this is our home field, right? Like we enjoy this, right? So although we're not quote unquote employees of Virgil's, we take pride that this is our place, right? And I think that a lot of field owners, they kind of have that untapped potential there of having people be like, hey, no, this is my place. Like this is my home field. I take pride in this just as much as an owner does. And I'm willing to kind of support it. I'm willing to go out and tell people about how cool it is, try to bring teams in. So like when we do NXL preps, I am calling teams all around the area to try to get them to come down to practice. So for example, World Cup this last year with BC Riot, I had just us, the Canadians, come down from Ontario area. I had STL Threat come up from St. Louis, right? So it's one of those things where I have fun with that because I'm like, hey, I get to show off my home field that Virgil has built and it's incredible, right? And I get to bring these guys in and I get to organize these practice. I get to cook them tacos. It's a great time, right? But Virgil has kind of given us that, not autonomy, but like he's given us that ability of calling this a home field. And I think some field owners just need to be willing to kind of like show that, hey, these tournament players, they're not just going to sit there going, hey, cut me a deal. I don't want to pay full price. No, they just want a home. And finding somebody that's willing to give them and work with them is a huge reward for both parties.
Well said. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Most want a home, and if you're taking care of them, they're going to take care of you, right?
Yeah. I know, Steve and the guys always offer to help and do different things, but I kind of look at that as like I don't want them to have to do that, because I know that's kind of how the Midwest paintball kind of was, as we were coming up. Like the nets are halfway down, you got to air the thing up, or maybe even set up the field, when you get there in the morning and all that stuff. And Jackson does such a great job throughout the week of keeping the place clean and different layouts every weekend. And we're getting creative with like street ball events and things like that. Just an active community with different events and different ways to come out and compete and have fun and get better if that's what your thing is. And that's, one of the main drivers about why we want to do the semi-pro team and why we want to eventually have the pro team back at the field is that I love the idea that some kid could come in on like a birthday party, get into paintball, maybe play open play a couple times, then come out to like a drill night on a Wednesday, then come out to the Midwest Showcase, find a team, play the Mid-American X-Ball League, get on Blast Camp. Next thing you know, the kid's playing pro and he hasn't even left Blast Camp,
Yeah.
So
having that
that's
path
the
is
journey.
super important. Having a
Yeah.
visible
Yeah.
path for players is really important. For a long time in the
Well-
Carolinas, it was trauma. And when they went away, there was no path anymore. And now we have Carolina pros, but they're all on different teams playing in different areas.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's actually really interesting because you mentioned that, but you look at Chicago in general. If you look at the pro talent that's in Chicago, there is the basis of a super team there, right? You
Mhm.
got Nick Sloviak, Cody Mikowski, Rob Velez, Zach Patient, Jackson Frey, Cody LaPapa. You got all these Ronnie Diza. You got these Caleb Abel. I could just keep naming names that are all in Chicago. And the fact that it's like the talent is here, right? But to your point, because there hasn't been that grassroots of growing these teams and having that that name to like, hey, I want to go play for them, right? Like everyone used to go, joke Chicago Aftershock, but Chicago Aftershock really wasn't based out of Chicago after a few years, right? It was based out of Badlands, and then it kind of did its own thing, and now I don't. We have Chicago Aftershock, but it's more based out of Florida than it is based out of Chicago,
Yeah.
I would say. But it's the same thing, right? Like we have these super players that could build an incredible Chicago-based team, but there's just not one here, right? And that's where I agree
Mhm.
with Virgil is you need to build it, and we kind of said the grassroots, establish this team, establish that pipeline, have that kid who's coming out to play speedball for the first time, see these blast camp semi-pro players be like, hey, that's where I want to be. That's cool, right? And I think that's really what we're trying to get established. And Virgil kind of mentioned it. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Blast Camp will be playing semi-pro again this upcoming year. He kind
We're
of dropped
back,
that in
baby.
there. Yeah, Blast Camp Semi-Pro is back. It will be playing under the Blast Camp name. So looking forward to seeing everyone at the field. So Virgil and I will be working together to pretty much push that team forward for 2026 as well.
So I definitely want to
Hell
talk
yeah.
about that, but you mentioned something that also caught my eye, um,
Okay.
about you said it was the Midwest Showcase. What is
Yeah. Well, so it's an event we hold every March, and basically it's just a day where if you're looking for a team, you come out and you play points with other people that are looking for teams. And if you're a team looking for players, you come out and then you can scout, the players and meet and greet people and just kind of, grab a couple guys to kind of round out your line for the season. And it's worked really well. I mean, we've had a bunch of teams get fully created from that, and we've had a bunch of teams like find a guy or two that fits with them, and some are still playing together today from a couple years ago. So yeah, it works really good.
I
And
love
and
that
Virgil's
idea.
100% right. I got the opportunity to actually lead one of the showcases that was at the beginning of last year. And honestly, it was what kind of set that expectation that I was going to transition from a player to a coach.
Okay.
It was right. It was pretty much kind of leading up to Tampa. And Riot was kind of listlessly kind of wandering. We didn't really have a coach. Tampa made us realize we really needed it. But when I led the showcase and I was able to work with these younger players, I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I enjoy coaching a little bit, and it kind of curtailed it into that. But Virgil's 100% right. These showcases are a great opportunity to just kind of find people that you would not expect, right? These kids who are D6 that have never played a tournament, but they're athletic. There was one guy who showed up in jeans, and he was going snake off break every single point, and I'm just sitting there going, I I can't do that. I've been doing paintball for 10 years. Granted, I'm not a snake player, but there's reasons why. But it was just kind of cool to see. And he's going snake off break, and I tweaked his coaching a little bit. I'm like, hey, go here, immediately get your gun up, look inside, you can pick this guy up. Every single point, snake off break, got to like the snake 50, put his gun up, and he was just shooting 3 people.
Nice.
And pretty much that guy had like 3 offers by the end of the day. And he's wearing jeans and playing paintball and has never played tournament paintball before. So that's the cool stuff to see.
That's awesome. I love that
Yeah.
concept. I wish more fields or regions would do that, you know, because
Yeah.
it can be hard to find a team and a squad.
Absolutely. And of course, I got to hand it to Anthony Vitale. I mean, he's the man with this, the godfather of the combine. He is the combine, of course, he runs every year that's attached with Team USA and all of that stuff. They go really into depth, over a whole weekend and all these different drills and everything. We do just kind of a light version of that just for guys around the Midwest and Blast Camp. And like I say, it's worked great. So cool thing.
And I do want to also give kudos to Virgil and Jackson on this. There's one other thing they do, and they do pretty much Wednesday night drills. So Virgil made the investment a couple of years ago, and he put lights up all up. We call it Field One. It's the main kind of center court field that a lot of the practices do. Virgil put what it's LED lighting. Virgil, I want to say, or is it?
Yeah. LED
Yeah, it's LED
strips.
lighting. Yeah, LED strips all the way across the field, and he can then light it. And Jackson pretty much does what they call Wednesday night drill sessions, and it's not like you need a team. Anybody can show up, right? And I tell all these people that are new to paintball, I'm like, yeah, you can come out Sunday and you can play points and you can get a little bit of experience, but like that. But if you want to get good quick, you go to these Wednesday night drill sessions and you're working with a pro, Jackson. And Jackson is an incredible teacher, and he's got these guys who don't really play paintball that often that he's working with on these Wednesday night drill sessions. And that's how you get good quick, because you have immediate access to that pro knowledge, to that pro level experience, and you're snapping. You're doing things like you're snapping a pro player. You're not going to be able to do that every single day, going to practice
Yeah.
on every single Sunday. You're getting to go one on one against pro players, and that is one of the cool things that Virgil and Jackson do. It's such a cool thing to see, and I wish more fields did it.
That's
Yeah, it is an investment, but it's been great for the community. I mean, sorry, it's been an investment, but it's been great for the community, man. You like, what I've noticed most is that it's a really good transition for people who are just trying to get into the sport, because they know it's casual. You don't have to have a team or whatever. And a lot of times the guys don't even know that oh God, that's Ronnie Dizon I'm playing with, or it's, Jackson Frey or whatever. They don't even know that whole story yet, They're just coming out because they want to get into tournament paintball, and it's a great introductory to it.
Which I'll throw this. He also does Friday Night Lights, which is actually like team 5-on-5. You play points. If you are anywhere in the Midwest and you see that notification for Friday Night Lights at Blast Camp, get there. I've played it now twice. It is probably some of the most fun I've had playing paintball, because Virgil's 100% right. People will take it seriously, but it's not really serious, right? Like you're having fun. It's fun to, well, I'm here to play paintball. I'm here to win. I'm here to grow the sport, right? But sometimes it's good to take a step back and be like, hey, let's have some fun. And those Friday Night Light sessions are 100% that. And it's something I'm really glad that Virgil and the family at Blast Camp put on and have given us an opportunity to do as well.
So I take it all those are weather pending activities.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, we play in a lot of crazy weather, man. That's for sure. But under the lights, yeah, if it's raining or something, we probably won't do it. There is those
Well, you
nights.
want to talk about weather dependent. Let's talk about that last classic X Ball, Virgil. Was it
I
the
was
turkey ball?
telling him, man, it was full on snowstorm, but it was tournament paintball, refs, the whole thing, penalty boxes, sideline coaching. I mean, it was calamity. It was awesome.
I
I
love
saw the
that. And I
pictures, and
love
I'm
events
actually
like
very
that.
sad I missed that.
Well, let's talk about the I don't know, we want to call it a rebirth or what of Last Camp Semi Pro.
You want me to go, Steve, or you want to take it?
Yeah. No, Virgil, because let's be perfectly honest, Blast Camp has always been Virgil and Jackson's baby. So I am so proud to be a part of this, but I want Virgil to kind of have an opportunity to tell his story here.
Well, obviously, you may or may not know, but I mean, we had the team for all those years, and got to the pro level, and then last year with Jackson and Cody and Soap on Heat, and then when that all ended this year, we're just kind of like, man, we just want to kind of have fun. I mean, I think the original plan was we're just going to do like a WCPPL, or maybe we'll do a couple Europe events, or go to Aruba or something, just create a little line together that we can just go out and have some fun with, And then the distortion thing happened, where a lot of our guys that used to be playing with us were available, and they wanted to play for Blast Camp. They wanted to play with Jackson. They wanted to play with Cody, and they all wanted to play together. So I'm like, let's run it. Steve, with his business and management acumen, he can kind of handle a lot of the things that I used to would take up my time or whatever, and we kind of be partners in it. So I couldn't be more excited to have Jackson playing again, have a front row seat for the team and all of that, be very involved in it, but also have a partner to kind of handle some of the things too. It's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be that sweet spot of like being a team owner, but then also just being a paintball dad. Somewhere right there in the middle is where I want to be. And I think this is going to be a great season for it. We plan on winning every point, every game of everything that we play.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's not just about
that's the expectations. Yeah, exactly.
That is, and I want to make that I get a point, just because it changed. It evolved from like, hey, let's just go have some fun and blah blah blah, to whoa, man, okay, we could really have a real team here. The guys that, like we mentioned earlier, can practice together all the time, that known each other for years, and are really talented, good guys. I'm excited about it. Should be fun.
Well, and I'll echo that too. And like I said, it's something I'm incredibly excited to do. Virgil and I I've had a relationship because I ran BC Riot, which was pretty much the divisional program that was underneath Blast Camp at one point. And then obviously Blast Camp went away. Houston Heat essentially became a thing. BC Riot still stayed. We played last year's D2. I got a lot of really good experience kind of continuing to own and manage a team and then transition into coaching. But it's something I'm just really looking forward to being able to work with Virgil on and taking that Blast Camp name that I used to wear, more on the divisional side, but now I'm part of that top level. And there was a part of me that realized when I was playing D2 the last couple of years that hey, I'm never going to go pro, right? I'm in my 30s. My time of being a pro paintball player has passed. I didn't get into the sport until I was about 24, but this is my path to pro as well, is that there's life outside of just being a player, right? Like if you can't be a player, you can't go pro, there's ways that you can still get involved if you have skills such as reffing, coaching, managing, just being a support staff, right? There's ways that, hey, I'm not going to go pro, but guess what? There's other skills I have. Like I have a full-time job outside of paintball, very involved in the business community, but I can take a lot of those skills that I know and I can apply to them and work with Virgil on that. And that's skills I can bring to take a lot of that off Virgil's plate and like I said, let him be a paintball dad. Let him enjoy watching his son play paintball, which I feel like he wasn't able to do as much the previous couple of seasons when he was trying to do everything for Blast Camp. And that's why I'm very happy to step in and do it. Also because we talk about that pipeline, right? I'm going to have to take a step away from Riot. I'm passing that off to James Schmidt. Jimmy is going to take over. He's going to run Riot for next season. But now we talk about an actual pipeline to these higher divisions. And we've got those steps, right? We got the D2 team that can then step up to a semi-pro player. And we're doing that. So one of the first things we did when we decided to refound Blast Camp was we took one of our better players on BC Riot, Jacob Meska, which you had on the show earlier, and he's going to get his shot at playing semi-pro.
Hey,
so he's so excited. He's been looking forward to this. Yep. Yeah. And we're talking about establishing that pipeline and giving these guys room to grow. And that's really why when Virgil and I were coming together and saying, should we do this? I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, let's do this. This could be fun. And I think, we're full steam ahead and I'm really looking forward to this 2026 season.
Well, you guys definitely are shaking up the semi-pro division for sure.
Seems like every year that happens though.
It does. I think last year a lot of surprises, right? The 2025 season in that division, but you guys coming in, that's a big hammer entering the field, if you will, right? So,
well, we hope it is.
That we hope to do, and I think there's a lot of work to do. We need to get these guys. I mean, we're practicing this weekend. So I know you said this is going to release Saturday. The guys are going to be at the field that day, and they're going to be at the field on Sunday, and we're putting in the work, right? And it's time for us to do it and get our coaching staff all on board. And it's one of those things where we need to realize that, hey, we're here for this. We're here to make this a professional organization, which is something that Virgil and I have discussed. It's like, hey, like we're going to do this. We're going to do this, right? Let's go full in. Just like I said, I think we're looking forward to see where this leads.
So, Virgil, if I may, I did listen to your episode with the Rowdy Ones. And if people did not listen to it, they should definitely go back and listen to it. But in that episode, you talked about the kind of transition to paintball dad over team owner. But you also talked about missing it. So is this the compromise you have found here?
Well, yes, I sure hope so. I mean, it was kind of like, being frank, I didn't expect the Heat thing to be over so quick. You know what I mean? So I was kind of looking forward to being a little bit more of a paintball dad for a couple seasons. But I knew kind of right away at the very first event, like, man, this is just different. You know what I mean? I'm so competitive. I'm a competitive guy. I like, handling things and making sure the team's got what they need. And, that's the enjoyment I get out of it. Satisfaction is removing obstacles for those guys to be successful. So I enjoyed that stuff, so I definitely did miss it. And I'm back. It's going to be fun. Like I say, and not having 100% of the responsibility with Steven and stuff, that's going to be even better.
Get a little bit of both worlds, if you will.
Yeah. Like I said, try to find that sweet spot there,
Yeah.
Not have to run around looking, saying, where are the pods? What's going on? Make sure we got all the paint going. being able to spread that load a little bit evenly as we
Totally.
can work together on that.
Yeah.
So
But
can
I'm
we
still in the meeting, you know?
yeah, you're
Exactly.
still there, still get the
Yeah.
voice, right?
That's right.
So can we release a official roster for the 2026 season?
Sure. Right? You
Okay.
don't have a problem with that, do you, Steve? Yeah, well,
No, I'm good
obviously,
with it.
we got Jackson Frey, we got Cody LaPapa, we got Jacob Mesco, the new guy, the rookie. We got Kyle Baran, Zach Hogue, and Vasilios Kanakaris. So that should, that's 6.
You forgot Drew Garrity.
I got Drew. My bad, Drew. Yeah, so then Drew Garrity. So that's 7. And then our coach is going to be John Eckerd. I'm team owner, obviously. And then we got Steve as the team manager. So we are still looking for one guy, maybe 2 if we found the right person.
Okay.
And don't really know where we're going to go with that yet. But we figured once we make it a thing and it's out there, we might get some interest or maybe do a tryout or something.
Okay. So if you think you got something to offer that line of Virgil
Yeah.
and Steve,
And you gotta live local, though. You gotta live local. We're not, you know what I mean? None of this like I'm only there for weekend, or for the layout weekends. You got to be there all the weekends.
I mean, that's the expectation, right? Is people who are going to be
Yeah.
able to play pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the expectation I set with BC Riot. I mean, I had some people who were interested in joining from out of state, and I said, listen, Cam was a great guy. You had Cam on the podcast here a couple of weeks ago too. I said, Cam, if you're going to join, I need you here every weekend. And if that was the expectation for D2, that is beyond the expectation for semi-pro as well.
okay. So would you take a guy that is willing to make the move out if he made this
God,
squad?
love that. I mean, if somebody came to me and said that they were committed enough to paintball and to this team that they were willing to move to be able to play paintball at Blast Camp with these guys, I would embrace that. Absolutely. I'd help them move. You know what I mean? If they were the right fit for the team and everything. But that, obviously, we've heard the stories of with Paintball Fit of, the guys moving out there. I mean, that's just commitment, and the fact
It
that
is.
somebody
It's a
would
lot of
do that,
commitment.
I'm down. That'd be amazing.
Well, the line has been drawn in the sand, if you will, right?
That's right.
Who's going to
If you're
rise
into
to the
you stay
occasion?
Yeah. Well, you stay at Steve's house and you're good.
And my wife might take some exception to this. I mean, when I first met my wife, and this was back in 2016 when I was playing paintball, when I was first starting to get into tournament paintball, I was telling her, I'm like, yeah, I do competitive paintball. This is my hobby. And she's like, you run around the woods competitively? How does this work? And I'm like, no, it's not that. And I'm like, you know what? You need to go to an NXL and you'll understand. And sure enough, she went to Chicago when we ended up winning back in 2017 with Project Mayhem. And she walked in and she's like, what on earth is this? This is, I could never imagine that this would be this serious. And sure enough, now she tries to go to every single event.
Nice.
When I won World Cup with Wisconsin Infants back in 2022, that's when we won the D3 series title, which surprisingly we upset a lot of people because we stole it out from me underneath New York Wrecking Crew. Sorry guys, I'm sorry. They won 3 events that year. We win World Cup and somehow we get the series title. And I think that's when Tom Cole made that rule change where the top 4 got the auto buy to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, it helped you and it
she missed
screwed
World Cup,
us.
and she won, and she's like, I hate you forever. That she missed out on all that, and she wasn't able to join. So
Yeah.
I froze. Long story short, she was saying, she was sad she missed out on it, and she wished she can join. But yeah, she might not be open to people staying at the house, but we can try. I'll try, guys.
You got a horse barn, you can fit them out there.
Just a cot and
Did I
a
freeze
space
again?
heater. They'll be fine.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
It records locally and then uploads to me, so it'll be clear on the come through.
Sweet.
Well, so do we have sponsors even lined up? Like how quickly, actually, before we even answer that, how quickly did this come about? How quickly did it go from we're going to do the Blast Camp as a fun thing, go to Aruba, maybe some Premier League stuff to no, we're going back and we're going for the pro spot?
Well, we've kind of been in discussions about what we would do for a while. I mean, for
Okay.
months, like even if, the heat thing hadn't have ended and all that, we were still kind of talking about we should get a group of guys together and just go have some fun. And then we knew we were going to keep the D2 team. So Steve and I were already talking about what we can do for the D2 team and how we can evolve that. And then, when this whole heat thing came down, it was just kind of like over the course of realistically a couple weeks, honestly, where, Jackson was getting offers. He was, figuring out everything he wanted to do. But at the same time, we're like, if we could get this together, like that would be kind of cool. We would definitely be down. And then just one thing, one domino fell and then it all kind of fell into place.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a whirlwind where it kind of felt like, how paintball goes, and you saw all the off-season rumors and
Yeah.
everything's flying around, and I'm on vacation in Salt Lake City, and I'm calling Virgil, and my wife's like, I'm walking away from her saying, hey, I gotta go talk to Virgil. I'm taking breaks at work because I'm on my office job, and I'm like, walk around the parking lot talking to Virgil. I think Virgil and I are on each other's frequently contacted list right now. So it was a little bit of I think it was a little bit of a whirlwind, I'd say, the last couple of weeks of getting it. But then again, like when all the dominoes started falling into place, it was just, hey, I think we got a path here, we got a direction, and I think we just got to go for it and we got to take it. And just like I said, I think we are still working out a couple of things as far as sponsors go. I think we know a couple for sure, right, Virgil?
Yeah, the main one obviously would be Blast Camp. I guess the second one would be GI, JT. Got some exciting things coming out with JT. You want some breaking news right now? I think
Yeah, we'll take it.
I can, dude. I can say this, right? I mean, I guess, right, Steve? I'm good with
Yeah,
making the
100%.
announcement. So we're coming out with our own ProFlex this year. So we're going to have a JT Pro, or a ProFlex, and it's going to be really, really cool and unique and some really awesome colorway and the whole thing. And it's going to come with some extra stuff. Let me just say that. So, but that'll be out probably late February, like Valentine's Day-ish.
Okay.
So JT's been really, really cool with us, and they've always been a great relationship. So the best sponsor out there, the best paint out there, and the best mask, I think, too. So anyway, JT would be the main sponsor for us. And then we know we're going to be shooting Planet Eclipse guns, whether they're officially sponsoring us or not. We're going to shoot Planet Eclipse because they're just the best guns. And is what it is. And then the rest of it, we're trying to still figure out. Maybe Carbon, maybe Virtue, maybe Pro DNA. I don't really know all that detail yet.
So,
Did I forget somebody, Steve?
No, I think that lays it into it. I mean, I'm also running around trying to find maybe some local companies that would be willing to partner with us, throw their name
Yeah.
on the jersey. We've been in a little bit of discussion with one. Go ahead, Virgil. Edgy Soda. Yep. Yeah, I've been talking to Patrick Nillian who runs Edgy Soda. He's at some of the events. It's all the THC products and things like that, hydration packs, things like that. Talking to him about maybe partnering with us as well, trying to help a local brand, try to grow that localness too. I mean, it's not just paintball; it's also other brands in the Midwest we can help as well. And I think Patty, who is also a paintball player, is a great example of somebody we can try to partner with. Him and I have gone back and forth. I think I need to contact him now that this is going public. I need to reach back out to him and be like, "Hey, so we were talking about Riot. Might want to talk about Blast Camp as well." It'll be an interesting conversation with him.
Well, let me ask you guys some of my quick take questions real quick. So, is there a unicorn marker out there that you guys either wish you had or wish you had sold even?
I actually have one of these. Even
Okay.
not being a player, even not being that much of a player, I loved my Carbon axe that I got. It's the first gun that I ever bought for myself. It was a big deal back then, It was the axe and it was all carbon fiber and stuff. And I ended up giving it to Jackson. I think he sold it or broke it or something. But anyway, I don't have the thing anymore and I wish I still had that one.
Nice.
I would say like I said, I first started getting into competitive paintball. I used to shoot like E-Techs. Like that was the thing, right? Like E-Techs I'm like, oh, I could buy a $400 gun and it's the same as an LV1, right? It's fine, right? And then I got an LV1 and I realized, oh no, this is not the same. And I eventually traded that original LV1. It was the super gold, so the blue and gold. That thing, to this day, I am still chasing a gun that shoots as good as that did. every gun I have is just like a little slight disappointment because it didn't shoot the same as that LV1. And I will forever be trying to find a gun that shoots the same as that gun because that thing just it still has a special place in my heart. And I think that's also why I was so disappointed in the recent LV2 release. It just wasn't the same as the LV1. The LV2 is still a fantastic gun, but that LV1 is just still has a special place in my heart.
All right, fair enough. What about rituals before the team goes on? Got any personal rituals?
You go, Steve. If you got one.
It's one of the things that um, I've always kind of been in that leadership role, right? So I always like getting the guys together, and I feel like they're getting a little bit frantic. I always love to do that. Hey, we're gonna take 3 breaths as a team, right? And it's just simple as that. Breathe it in, breathe it out. I don't really have any individual rituals, I would say. I think most of what I focus on is getting the guys together, making sure they're focused, making sure they're on task. That's more what my rituals are, is hey, we're here to do a job. Let's lock in and let's be ready to do it and let's be ready to play for each other. And that's, I think, honestly, the best ritual you can ever have.
I will say that I have a process, you know what I mean? Like 20 minutes out, we're heading to the truck, we're getting the paint, we're doing this, wait, we're 5 minutes out, let's stretch or whatever, like I kind of always have that process together. The only real ritual I would say is I do have what I believe is the lucky shirt.
Okay.
So on Sundays, I'll wear a very specific blast camp shirt that I have that we've won a couple different events in. So I do have that ritual superstition.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice. I got a couple other, but I did want to jump over to Steve real quick. The transition from player to coach. You talked about it a little bit, but walk us through it a little bit more, man, because that's a big deal when a player decides to, hang up the cleats and start coaching more, right?
Yeah, and that all stemmed from you gotta set your ego aside when you're a player, and it's one of those things where we've everyone tried to say, "Oh, I can play coach." You can't. I'm of the honest opinion that if you're gonna coach, and people have always said like, "Well, why don't you just player coach? You can still suit up. You're a good paintball player. You got a great off the break shot. We could use you." And I'm like, if I'm coaching, I'm never calling my number. It's not that I don't have faith in myself, but if I can't constructively look at the field and be unbiased, right? The person I am, I need to be able to look at the 1,000-foot view, look at the full on strategy, the X's and O's, the percentages, like, hey, are we hitting this guy off break? I can't do that on the field. I'm not getting the full story, right? And so we tried it at Tampa where I was player coaching, and the team looked lost. That team was stumbling over each other. I'm surprised we even won a match. We went 0-3 into the last match, and those guys were getting drunk in the pits. And I think that's the only reason why we beat them was because they were pounding beers. So we ended up going 1-3 in that event, and I pulled the guys aside and I'm like, guys, we need a coach. I'm gonna take the decision to be that guy. And it was just one of those things where I probably had the most experience of all the guys on the field. I probably had the highest level of IQ. So I was the guy that needed to do it. And it was just that recognition of, hey, we need this, right? Was a little bit of an ego check, a gut check of like, hey, I love playing. I still love playing. I still want to, every now and then when we're going out to practice on the weekends, I love to suit up and I'll go play, right? I just played this last weekend. I still want to do that. If Virgil does the classic X-Ball leagues, I'll probably jump on one of those teams and have fun, right? So I can still say I'm playing paintball. But it's one of those things where you had to recognize what the team needed, and the team needed a coach. And the more I did it, the more I realized I'm enjoying this. Like I'm enjoying this, and it's not just that. I'm somewhat decent at it. The more I did it, the more I got better at it. The more I got better at seeing the field. We got to work with Nick Slovia to get us ready for Cincinnati and to get us ready for Cup, and just being able to work side by side with him, and him and I bouncing ideas off each other was a great dynamic where I became more of that strategy guy and he was more of the players coach, where I could see the field, I could see the X's and O's, I could see the analytics of what we needed to hit, because that's a lot of what I'm doing in my current professional world. I could see a lot of that and I can apply that onto the field. And then Nick would be the guy who'd be like, no, yeah, and let me handle the players. Like I can walk them through like what I need them to do in these different senses. So it was a lot of good experience. And it showed me that there is a life after play, right? And I think there's a responsibility to players after they decide that, hey, I'm not going to play as much as I did previously. I'm not going to play competitively. you can still be involved. And we talk about growing the sport and we talk about fostering that next generation. You do that by doing things like this, by taking that step back and deciding to be that coach and deciding to invest your skills outside of what you can do inside the net. There's ways of working with other players, of coaching teams, of reffing. You can do so many different things that's not just playing. And this was, like I said, and then I kind of came to that consensus that, I knew 3 years ago I was never going to go pro. This is my way of going possibly pro, is to work on a team like this and kind of work my way up that way and be involved in paintball.
Nice. And I think it's super important. The crew, the coaching staff, the management, they are part of the team, right? Like at the end of the day, you don't do well without that. Even if you're a player coach team, like you still have, usually those guys have a manager inside the team, but you still have pit staff and stuff that are extremely important and valuable to having a successful organization.
Well, I mean, one of
Absolutely.
the best things I've noticed is we kind of joke about it, right? It's a little bit of an unwritten thing, but if we notice there's a team that doesn't have a lot of pit staff, shoot their pods,
Yeah.
shoot their pods, shoot their pods. Make sure you're putting a couple into their packs. It's one of those
Mhm.
things where it's that little edge when you talk about how important it is to have that staff, right? It's those little edges that you can give yourself because they're spending all that time trying to get themselves cleaned up. They might not have the pit staff to support them, and that's the guy goes out there with an old hit. Now he's got that's a minor right off the break, pretty much. Could be a major.
Yeah.
So it's things
Yeah.
like that where you don't realize how important having that support staff is, having guys like Virgil, having guys
Mhm.
like people who are willing to take time outside their day to sacrifice. That's the other big thing that a lot of people don't talk about when they're talking about staff is those people are sacrificing just as much as the players. And in my mind, they're sacrificing more. They're not getting the enjoyment of playing. They're there literally to help you. And they're giving up their well-earned time, which is a finite resource. Everyone has a finite resource when it comes to time, and they're giving it up for you to be there and to help.
Well, and with the influx of, stats and all that kind of stuff, scouting's always been important, but it's especially in the pro division, it's really getting to a different level now where there's all the tendencies, all the teams and the individual players, and you got the stats now, to help with that. So having a scouting coach, assistant guy who handles stats and stuff like that, that's becoming more of a commonplace now. It's definitely something that's necessary.
Yeah, it's no longer one coach. It's a coach, an assistant coach, and sometimes a scout, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a it's a big thing. That's what you got to do if you want to win. And I would argue
Yep.
it's almost more important down in the semi-pro because you don't have tape on or not a lot of tape on a lot of these guys, right? The players
Yeah.
fluctuate so much down there at a certain level, a team that was a dud the event before could be a rock star because they had a fusion of three guys all of a sudden,
Right.
right?
And
Right.
it's sometimes simple as like you're tracking what's going on, right? You're tracking the 5 players that are playing, you're tracking where they're shooting, you're tracking the bodies that are getting shot off break, you're tracking if you're making a spot, right? So that way when you sit down and you look and you say, hey, we tried to run the 100, which is the 3-to-1. We tried to run that 90% of the time, and we made it 40% of the time. Hey,
Mhm.
we should probably think about something else here, guys, right? That is not a good way to win a tournament. Hey, we ran the same 5. We ran these 5 players together, 30% of the time, and they never won a point. Hey, we probably should not have those 5 guys on the field at the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's
Especially at clutch
stupid thing,
time.
Yeah.
especially at clutch time, right? It's stupid things like that where it sounds kind of like dramatic or like, well, why would you do that? But anything to give yourself that little extra edge in
Mhm.
that match is huge.
Yeah. Well, and things like that when you're talking about, overtime point or whatever and having the right guys out there, stats don't lie at the end of the day. Your gut feeling on who should be out there can lie to you though, right? Like
Mhm.
especially if someone's having a
Mhm.
really good event and they aren't normally one of the top 5, like the stats are going to show that and that's important data for a coach to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I had something and I lost it.
Yeah.
I did want to give Virgil some opportunity to talk about, the other side of his business. I'd say the
Yeah,
scenario
please,
ball,
please.
Hoff. I think that'd be a good thing, Virgil.
Sure. Absolutely. So Blast Camp, man, it's been there since 1988. We've been doing this for whatever 36, 37 years, and we do kind of anything modern combat sports. So airsoft, mag fed, speed soft, low impact, birthday parties, all of it. And so we just put out our scenario schedule. We got the Hoth game coming up in well, it's actually late January, last day of January this year. Midwest winter, snow, Star Wars, lightsaber battles, the whole nine, and then
You want to talk about watching something cool? Watching two guys in paintball masks wailing on each other with lightsabers. You have to do a double take as you see it. It's like, what is going on over here? But this is awesome.
yeah, in the snow too,
In the snow.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much fun to run a business that people come out, get a little adventure, a little bit of escape, a little bit of exercise, some family bonding, I mean, that's awesome. That's my job. But yeah, the scenario stuff is always popping and a lot of fun. Obviously, we have a lot of stuff like we've already talked about on the tournament side. Airsoft, we just released a schedule. We've opened that up a lot the last couple of years, where we have open play now every weekend, and then we
Okay.
also run these bigger. We always also run these bigger ops where it's the full field and there's no paintball going on, and bigger missions and deeper storylines and stuff like that. So we do kind of all over the map with airsoft stuff. Yeah,
I
so
will
very
say,
exciting.
if you've never gone to Blast Camp, it is. I'm just talking, set aside the tournament side. Obviously, that's my home field. But if you've never gone and played open play at Blast Camp, you're missing out. I mean, you're talking about this is a decommissioned command, pretty much base of what they're the Nike nuclear missile, right? Virgil, I think
Nike.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
So it is a decommissioned base, and it's got these barracks and these radar stations and all these buildings that are strewn around. And how often do you get the chance to go play paintball pretty much in an old, military style base? It is so cool. Highly recommend it. It's so much fun. A lot of the guys, Virgil had a big game called the Purge, which is pretty much like almost the end of season big game where everyone gets to come. They get to bring your own paint. We just ran around in the woods having fun. I mean, it was 8 hours of just insanity and having fun and just playing paintball with a bunch of rec players or scenario players. And honestly, like I said, if you have the opportunity to get there, if you're anywhere in the Midwest, I highly recommend you make the pilgrimage. As a player, coming from a player, this is one of the best places you're ever going to play paintball.
Thank you, man. And we also offer like free camping and stuff like that. So
Okay.
if you want to come up from South Carolina, you stay at the field, camp there.
We
If
might
you're
do it
into
during the
that,
summer, let it warm up a little bit.
You're no fool. I got you.
The snow camping's not for me, for sure.
Yeah, we have games all through the summer. You know what I mean? So love to have you.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. That's one of the goals, is to do a little bit more traveling to just see fields.
There you go.
I think
And he does run also a premier regional X-Ball league as well, the Mid-American X-Ball League. I will say
Yeah.
is very high up there as far as competitive regional tournaments go. The D3 division there is no joke. They had Grand Rapids Rays who played there, my BC Riot line, which took sixth place in Tampa Bay, played throughout the entire season. That is a competitive regional series. And I think one of the best stories actually was one of the good D4 teams that was really competitive last year was coming down from Winnipeg. I think what they were driving, like 12 hours, Virgil? It was something
Yeah.
crazy or something like
From
that.
Canada, yeah.
and there's a webcast for that too, right?
There is, yeah. Jackson commentating, and he's really getting into that and stuff. And that's been a whole fun development too. Last year was the first year we decided we're going to add a live stream to it. And just like the learning curve of learning, all the technology behind everything, getting it all together. And then every event we added a new camera or a new feature or something. We got some tricks up our sleeve for this next year too. We're going to make a couple additions to that. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
It's
I will
awesome.
say, if you want to play this league, you best be ready on that registration day because I think he sold out in under an hour, Virgil?
Yeah, it was like 40 minutes. Yeah, we're talking
That's
48 teams paying for the whole season at one time.
okay.
And it sold out like in 40 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
And those, like I said, it's a premium league. It's really, you talk about a league designed for players with a lot of investment and a lot of feedback from players. The Mid-American X-Ball League is 100% that. I played it, I've reffed it, I've worked it. It is one of the best regional leagues I've ever had the pleasure of participating in.
Well, that's awesome. You give them the opportunity to pay for the whole thing up front too. Like,
Yeah,
essentially buying a
totally.
franchise for the season, right? And just knowing
Right.
you're locked in.
That's right, Hunter. That's what I'm saying. Like it goes all back to this idea of helping to create these teams that then stick together for the whole season and build something. It starts from those drill nights to the Midwest Showcase to putting the teams together, and then they sign up for this Mid American X Ball, and they're committed for the whole season. So even as guys may come or go from their particular franchise, they still we're going to be locked into this series. And I just think it goes so much better that way. We see teams stick together for whole seasons and really commit to it. So, and
Well,
I
it
think
kind of
it's better for them
forces you
too.
to commit to your guys, right? Like,
Yeah,
You paid the money up front. You're paid, like right? Those
paid
one
for
of those
the
things where
whole
you
season.
paid.
totally.
Like, there's
You gotta
Yeah,
no,
play
we
event
got blown
4,
off
right?
the field. I'm done. I got 2 more events to do. We got to
totally.
figure it
Well,
out.
well, and the prize too is cool because it's $2,000 cash and your paint bill is
Oh,
covered.
okay. That's a
So
big
if you're
deal.
in event 2 or you're event 3, like you've already paid like 6 months ago,
Hmm.
essentially for your entry. So you show up
You're
to
just
that event,
yep.
your paint tab's covered and you win $2,000. Like you actually go home with money.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different feeling than like, well, we had to pay $1,000 entry and then we had a $1,400 paint bill. And yeah, we won $3,000, but here's, $50 for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
by
So
the way,
that
I need that
happened.
back for paint.
right.
That
For the
happened.
hotels. Yeah.
I was playing D3. We had a D3 local event, which during COVID, pretty much we couldn't play the nationals. So Virgil's like, "Hey, let's go play this D3 event." And we grabbed a couple of the semi-pro guys and we went down and we played. And I think we took second place. And after closing out our paint tab and all of that, I think Cody LaPapa, who was playing with us, walked around. He handed everyone $2. Said, "Here you go. This this is
This
your
is the
prize for the
winnings.
season. This is the
Yeah.
winnings for the event." And I'm like, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
It happens,
So,
unfortunately, but it sounds like you guys got a good thing going there, which is phenomenal.
yeah. Thank you.
We are at an hour. That's kind of where I like to keep them, but I'd love to have you guys back on throughout the season. Virgil, like I said, anytime you want to come on and talk field owner stuff, there's something you're super passionate about. Obviously, you got the rowdy one's ear, but
Yeah.
open invitation.
Awesome, Hunter. I appreciate that, man. I will take you up on it too.
All right.
So I got a couple of things I'd like to talk about, a couple ideas with the industry and stuff. I'd love to just sit down and chat with you.
That'd be great. We'll set it up. Oh, before I go, I did a new question on my last one. I'd love to ask you guys the same thing. Competitive
Sure.
paintball's wiped out. You're building it from the ground up again. What are you doing?
Well, I guess I would not change all that much.
Okay.
Honestly,
That's fair.
I really like the way the X ball works and all that stuff. But there are a couple things that I think are awesome from our classic X ball stuff that I would love to see incorporated back in. That's like the continuous clock, the only 4 pods. Make it a little cheaper for everybody.
Mhm.
I think those 2 additions, a continuous clock and only doing 4 pods, those are cool additions. The penalty boxes, I think, are hilarious, a lot of fun, but I don't know if they would be in like the main, thing. I think that's just a
Mhm.
novelty kind of a deal. But the other thing I really like is the sideline coaching. It brings such a cool energy to it and all of that. I mean, I realize people could probably get a little too rowdy with that, so maybe you do have to keep that in check. I mean, those are 3 things I would love to add to the current game, and I think enhance it a little bit.
I'll also kind of add in. I mean, I will say there's one video that got posted. It's actually kind of funny. We talk about the penalty boxes at one of these classic X-Ball leagues. It's Ronnie Dizon. He's behind the penalty box. And you see these guys walking up to touch the buzzer and they're checking themselves and no one's paying attention to the penalty clock. Ronnie comes running out and roasts the entire team before they could hang the flag. And it was probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. But when you talk about the league and the format, I know everyone likes to harp on the NXL and they're all these, right? Like I actually don't. I think the NXL has a good product. I think X-Ball in its current state is actually very competitive. I think it's very intriguing. And once you kind of get into it and you understand what's going on, it draws you in. I do think limited paint is a good idea because it forces a little bit more moves. And I'm all on board with that. But I think what the league needs to be focusing on is the production value that's going into these matches. And what I mean by that is you generally have 5-minute breaks between these matches, right? And you watch Go Sports, and it's literally, I'm sorry, Major League Paintball Plus now. You're watching this, and it's the same ads over and
Over
over
and
with
over
horrible
and
EDM
over.
music blasting, and you're just like, this is giving me a headache. What are we watching? Run ads for 2 minutes, and then take 3 minutes and set the story about the next match, right? We're talking about stats. What are the records? What are their head-to-head matches? What are the players that are on the roster? Who's the player to watch, right? What are they more known for? Are they more known for playing on the D side? Like, set the story so that these people who are watching from the outside can go, hey, there's actually something cool to kind of think about. That's like, oh, hey, I know Alex Goldman's an amazing snake player. Hey, he's a player to watch because he's going to be doing this. He's been doing these things in the event. Right? They need to do a better job of drawing in the casual viewers by doing a better job of selling that story with that production value. It's not just the match itself, but hooking the viewers in something in a story that they can actually watch when the match is being played,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're a casual viewer, right, and you were to watch, let's say from this last year, NYX beating Impact, and you're a casual viewer, like, cool, but what does that mean, right? I don't know what that means. But if you're somebody who's in the sport and you knows much, you're like, that is an upset.
Yeah.
That's insane. On paper, that should never have happened, right? That's like the 64 seed beating the first seed, right? Like
Mhm.
it shouldn't happen, right? But if you're not somebody who's in the sport, you don't know that, right? And so when we're talking about these casual viewers who are trying to grow paintball and watch from the outsider's perspective, they're not getting that full story. And I think the league needs to do a better job in those production, right? I know they're releasing some of these documentaries between the matches and when they're touching on it, right? But you need to do it as part of the actual live broadcast
Yeah.
when you're looking at these teams.
Could you imagine a telestrator? How cool that would be. Do some John
Yep.
Madden shit on there. Just like
Yep.
he went there, got this dude and that dude, like I'd
There's a
love to
bounce
see
shot
that.
off this and the bunker, and that's what he shot, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so many ways that you can improve the production value and draw in these listeners and these people who are watching this, right? And I think the league, and it sounds stupid. I don't think it'll be that much of an investment, right? You get a couple of guys or statisticians, maybe add a couple of guys on the payroll, and I think it'd be something that'd be possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely possible. I know they've had it before. They've had the telestrator, I think, for 1 or 2 events, maybe last year. And it was great. Everyone loved it. And every time the event comes on, they're like, where's the telestrator? Because it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But man, thank you guys for coming on. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to shout out whoever you want to shout out, and we'll take it out.
I just want to shout out, you, first of all, Hunter. Thanks for having us on. Like I say, I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little business, talk a little paintball. It's all fun. And, just everybody that comes out and supports Blast Camp, all the teams, all the players, everybody that comes out to enjoy the park. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'll echo a lot of that. Hunter, thank you for having us come on and thanking us for kind of being able to debut the rebirth of Blast Camp Semi Pro and kind of being able to talk about it. It's been a lot of fun. I also want to shout out, all the teams, BC Riot, which those are my babies. Love that they're still here. Love that they're still keeping it going. Looking forward to playing with them as well and being a really good practice partner for them in this upcoming season to getting them ready for the NXLs as well. But I also want to shout out, GI and Core, everything that they do, JT, everything they do to support the team. A lot of paintball would not be at the level it is without a company that's willing to invest back into their players as much as GI and JT has. So again, huge shout out to them and everything they do. And then obviously, if we come back on the show, we'll probably have a couple more sponsors later in the season to call out as well. But I wanted to make sure we really do highlight GI and JT and just everything that they do for us.
Great. Well, thank you guys again.
That's
I need
good.
you to hang out for a little bit while it uploads, but everyone else will catch you next time on the Planet Paintball Podcast. We are clear.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show of the Planet Paintball Podcast. Remember, use code Planet Paintball for 20% off your orders from 1023 Sportswear. Shout out to Green Goat, Southwest Paintball, Josh Conley Tattoos, and Andy's Taco Shop. And remember, keep growing, keep grinding, and we'll see you next time on the Planet Paintball Podcast, where we probe the divisional pits so you don't have to.